Hey guys, today is Monday, the first day of the week. So let's start the day by reading some books. Today I will read chapter 8 of the book Wave Me Goodbye. Wow, last chapter 7. Yes, chapter 7. Finally they have something to eat, and especially Shirley. She has nowhere to sleep because she doesn't like sleeping with boys, and also she thinks that this is a horrible place. So let's find out in chapter 8. Alright, chapter 8. We were in a little courtyard with logs piled up under a makeshift shelter. Archie ran down some steps to break path with weeds pushing through every crack. "Careful, Archie," I called. He took no notice and charged onwards, following the path round. We followed, of course. There was a flower bed of sorts and a big vegetable patch, mostly cabbages. I wrinkled my nose. I hate cabbages. They even smell bad, simply growing in the earth. But when we were past them, running down to the front of the house, the smell was better, much, much better. I smelled fresh grass and far away roses. The sounds were magical too, birds singing their heads off, some high, some low, some soft, some cooing. I hardly even heard the birds at home, because there weren't any trees in our street. In the city park, I saw sparrows and sad pigeons hopping along on twisted claws, and occasionally flocks of starlings flying high in the sky at twilight. These country birds all seem so different. If the village had a library, I might take out a bird book and learn some of their names. "Aren't the birds lovely?" I said, but Kevin looked at me as if I were daft. "They're just birds," he said. "Wait till you see these birds here." "The whoopers," Archie shouted. When we went around the side of the house, we found a cluster of hens coming out of a small hut, bobbing their heads and looking expectant. "Ah, they've got their own little house, little birdies," said Archie, clapping his hands. The hens clucked, flapping their wings. Let's drink some water. Scurrying along, Archie chuckled and made little rushes at them, and they parted in alarm. "Don't, Archie, you're frightening them," I said, taking hold of his small wrist. He wriggled away. "You can't tell me off. I'm not frightening them. I'm only playing, aren't I? You great big sparrows." "They're not sparrows, silly. They're hens," I said. "Hens?" said Archie, looking blank. "You know, they lay eggs. I wonder if they laid any eggs overnight. Chubby might let us have them for breakfast," I said hopefully. "What do you mean, lay eggs?" Archie asked. "You know what eggs are. You fry them and have them with chips." "Well, hens make them. They squeeze them out their bums," said Kevin. "What?" Archie squealed. "That's disgusting. You're kidding me, right?" Kevin mimed cutting his throat and hoping to die if he told a lie. "I don't like all them country animals," said Archie. "They're dirty. Cows squirting milk out of them pink dangly bits, and hens doing a bit toilet. It's all mucky." "There's a mucky pup," said Kevin. "I'm not. I didn't do it." "I'm sure it was you," Archie protested. "What? What did you do?" I asked, but they both looked coy and wouldn't tell me, as if I care. "Come on, we'd better go back now." "I'm not going back," said Archie. "I'm running away. I'm going back to Auntie. I don't like it here." "Don't be daft. How are you going to get back? You haven't got any money for the train," said Kevin. "Babies go free." I'll scrunch up really small, as if that would work. "That should be thinks I'm a baby," said Archie. "But I won't bother with no train. I'll just run all the way back to London. I'm a good runner. See?" He set up to show us. Charging round to the front of the house again, then down the driveway. He did run fast, fists clenched, his matchstick arms pumping, his knees lifting high at each stride. "Silly little tyke," said Kevin. "We better go after him." So we chased him. He was half our size, but it was hard work trying to catch up. When he heard us coming closer, he veered left off the drive and started running through the grass, zigzagging around bushes and dodging under the big umbrella plants. "Archie, come back! You'll get lost," I called. He was out of sight now. Kevin and I ran in the direction he'd taken. The grounds were so overgrown. It was as if we were in enchanted woods, in a fairy tale. There were so many trees the sky was blotted out, and it was so dark. As the night, the trees were old with long twisted roots, tunneling in and out of the earth. There were nettles everywhere. I could feel them sitting my legs as my nightie caught on brambles. "Archie, come back," I called. Then we heard him yell, "Oh, flip, what is that now?" said Kevin. We ran harder. The trees thinned and we came to a clearing, and there was Archie, cavorting on the grass beside a vast stretch of water. "It's a sea!" he screamed excitedly. "I run away to the sea." "The sea?" said Kevin. "Quickly, look at it." I looked and saw a glittering green oval with rushes growing all around. "It's not a sea, it's a lake," I said. "It is so the sea. Lakes are little, not massive like this. My dad took me to a boating lake, and it was only big enough for toy boats, not real ones. This is definitely the sea," said Kevin. I knew perfectly it wasn't the sea. It would have been the real sea on that coach trip with Mom and Dad. I've seen the sands at Clacton and a vast expanse of sea glittering in the sunshine, white-topped in the wind. "It's not the sea," I repeated. But Kevin and Archie weren't listening to me. "I'm going swimming," said Archie, and he went charging into the water fully clothed, splashing and shouting. "Can you swim?" Kevin called. Archie threw himself forward, head lower, arms outstretched. He went right under, bubbled up again with his little bald head, dripping in his mouth a great O of astonishment, and then disappeared. "He can't swim," I said. I tucked my nightie into my knickers. Kevin stepped out of his shorts. Then we both took off our shoes and socks and ran in. Archie hadn't gone very far, thank goodness. I grabbed one of his spindly arms, Kevin in the other, and we hauled him out. He was coughing and gasping, water streaming off him, shivering with shock. But as soon as he had breath to talk, he yelled triumphantly, "Did you see me swimming? Shall I have another go?" "No, you daft banana. You nearly drowned." "You scared us silly," I said, scraping little strands of water weed of him. "I bet you can't swim," said Archie, shaking himself like a dog. "I can swim. My dad took me down Horny Road bads. I'm a brilliant swimmer, me. But you mustn't try again, Nipper. You're too small. You could really drown," said Kevin. "I don't mind. I could jump and float about like a ghost and scare everyone that they'll all run away. And then I'll cut alive again and go, ha, ha, ha," said Archie. His teeth were chattering now. "We better get him back to the house and find him a towel," I said. "Perhaps he ought to run about the first and get a bit of less wet," said Kevin. "Let's all play chase up and down the driveway. I bet I'll win." "Of course you'll win. You've got much longer legs than Archie and me," I said. We raced for a few minutes, and of course, Kevin kept winning. Archie came second in spite of being soaking wet. I came a poor last, and the boy laughed at me because I ran in a funny way, my legs sticking out sideways, mostly because my feet were cramped in my red shoes. Archie seemed happy enough, but he was still shivering. "He'll catch a cold," I said anxiously. "Come on, let's take him back. That chubby will mantle when she sees him. She'll blame us," said Kevin. "She'll still be in bed and Mrs. Waverly." "I think it's ever so early," I said. "Then we can tell him dry and maybe iron his clothes so they get dry too, and no one will ever know." "I'll know," said Archie, his eyes shining. "I did swimming." I took one of his hands and Kevin the other, and we walked him back to the house. The sun came out, and I suddenly felt warmer. There, it's getting much drier already, said Kevin. I squinted at the sun and the white clouds and vast blue sky. It's funny here. There's so much more sky than at home, I said, and the sun seems hotter too. And look! I pointed to the grass where a small rabbit was running away from us, white tail bobbing. A rabbit! Oh, do you think we can catch it? I absolutely love a pet rabbit. There's another, and another, said Kevin. I wanted that first one, little one. I ran after it, but the rabbit scuttled out of sight. Oh, I frightened him away. I'm sorry, little rabbit. Don't be scared of me. Don't act soft, said Kevin. But he tried to catch me another one. He didn't have any luck either. I suppose it's for the best, I said. That little rabbit might miss his mom if I took him away with me. I wasn't really thinking what I was saying. Then a great wave of wanting mom washed over me. I screwed my face up. I'll get you a rabbit, said Kevin. No, it's not a rabbit. I'm missing my mom. Aren't you missing yours? Nah, said Kevin. I'm missing my dad, though. I'm not missing my auntie, said Archie. I've changed my mind. I'm not running away anymore. I'm staying here. I like it. His big eyes were shining. He started skipping, still holding our hands. Happy days are here again. The skies above are cleared again. So let's sing a song of cheer again. Happy days are here again. Archie sang in his high little voice, word perfect. We hoped that we would be able to creep in and get Archie dried off without anyone finding out. But the moment we opened the back door, Chubby came flying up to us, fully dressed. There you are. I've been looking all over, so you've been out then, you little monkeys. Then she looked in the state of Archie and gave a little shriek. Oh, God! He's green wet. Did he fall in the lake? I didn't fall. I did swimming. I went right down to the bottom. I did, he insisted. I'll get right down to the bottom, young man, and give it a good whacking, said Chubby. But she picked him up and crawled at him. Let's get these wet clothes off you and warm you up. She glared at Kevin and me. How could you let him go in? Haven't you got any sense? He's not much more than a baby. He could have drowned, you know. We'd try to stop him, truly, I said. He was up like a shot, said Kevin. You're a useless pair. Chubby sniffed. You better start breakfast while I sort the baby out. Get that kettle boiling and the kitchen table set. And if you want more than bread and milk, go and see if chickens have laid any eggs. Hooray, I said. I don't want no eggs, Archie protested. Of course you do. And I'll boil eggs with soldiers. Chubby coaxed him, taking him by the hand and leading him away. I stood in the kitchen. I just stood there, anxiously at the kettle. I couldn't see how you lit the stove. I looked at Kevin imploringly. He was looking worried too, biting his nails as he listened to Chubby and Archie go upstairs. Kevin, could you light the gas? I asked. I don't know how, baby, he said. It's not gas. It's an aga, see? He put the kettle on the hob, shaking his head at me. And can you reach the plates and stuff down from the dresser? You're taller than me, I said. He reached up, but he was clumsy, and when he picked one plate, he set another one toppling. I caught hold of it just in time. Phew, you better do it. I'm a bit clumsy-like, he said. So I stood on a kitchen chair and carefully took a willow pattern cups and a saucer and plates and 8 cups down from the big dresser, 5 of each, for Mrs. Waverly, Chubby, Kevin, and Archie, and me. I set them out on the table while Kevin fetched the cutlery from the drawer. He put the knives on the wrong side of the plate and didn't fetch enough teaspoon, while I did my best to smooth the crock of butter so the finger marks weren't too obvious. Come on, Fusspot, that'll do. Let's go and get some eggs, shall we? I love eating eggs, said Kevin. I wasn't too sure about this either. The hens had beady little eyes and pointed beaks that looked very sharp. They said, "Gather around us," clucking determinedly. "They look like they're gonna peck us," I said. "They're only silly old birds," said Kevin. But he was skirting them warily, too. As we approached their little house, the hens became more insistent. We opened the door cautiously. There were more hens inside, perched on shelves. Oh, wow, lots and lots of hens. And they started cackling at us, too. "Hey, look," said Kevin, seeing a big white enamel pot with the word printed on its blue, "corn. I bet this is their breakfast." He took off the lid and started scattering the corn on the ground, and the hens hurried over in frenzy and started pecking all. "See," he said triumphantly, "they were just hungry. I said so, didn't I? Go and get the eggs then, while I keep them busy." "Clever Dick," I said, but I was grateful. The hen house fell a bit, and there were several hens still sitting inside, clucking indignantly, because I was disturbing them. "I'm sorry, hens. I just want some eggs for breakfast," I said, trying not to frighten them. It was very dark inside, and even with the door wide open, it was hard to see what I was doing. I had to feel for the eggs in the straw. I had to feel it. For example, like this. "Oh, there's an egg? Yeah, I have to feel it." I was so cautious at first, so I just poked the tips of my finger in, terrified a mouse or a rat might be nesting there, too, ready to bite me. I couldn't find any eggs at all until I got bolder. Then I found one and another, and of course I didn't know what to do with them because I hadn't bring a bowl with me. I couldn't be bothered to trail all the way back to the kitchen. Instead, I looped my nightie up and made into an egg pouch. I found 2 more eggs, and then nothing more until one of the hens started making funny noises, and I realized what she was doing. I thought she would get up when she finished laying, but she sat there complacently. Mrs. Waverly, Chubby, Kevin, Archie, and me. I needed that egg. I reached out uncertainly and lightly stroked the hen's feather with one finger. She felt surprisingly soft and reassuring, rather like Timmy Ted. "Have you laid an egg for me, little hen?" I asked. I felt underneath her. There was the egg, still warm. It made me feel a bit weird, but it was just an egg, no matter where it came from. I very much fancy a boiled egg for breakfast. I walked carefully back to the kitchen, clutching my nightie at either side, so the eggs wouldn't roll out. I felt a bit like a kangaroo with 5 babies in a pouch. "Eggs for breakfast," I said triumphantly, and as I went through the kitchen door. Archie was back, scrub pink and wearing a bizarre pink and purple striped jumper to match his new complexion. It came down to his scabby little knees. "What on earth have you got on, Archie?" I asked. "It's that Chubby," he said darkly. She took my stuff away to be washed and made me put on her blooming sissy jumper on, because I don't have no other clothes. He started trying to wriggle out of it. "No, don't. It looks all right, honest," I lied. "Yet it looks ever so pretty. All you need is to grow some curls, and you'll be a lovely little girlie," said Kevin. Archie flew at him and started pommeling at him with his fist, while Kevin dodged about, laughing at him. "You boys, stop that!" Chubby shouted. They'd been making so much noise we hadn't heard her come back. She looked furious. "We're just playing," said Kevin. "Never mind playing, you naughty, dirty little beggars. I've just been clearing up in your room. We'll weed all over my lovely pink underdown, and you didn't even have the guts to tell me." She was looking at me, too. "It wasn't me," I said quickly. "I slept in the room next door by myself." "It was Archie," said Kevin. "But don't be cross with him, miss. He was only little." "I'm not little. I'm a big boy now. And I didn't pee the bed. I'm sure I didn't," Archie protested and burst into tears. It was the most sensible things he could have done. Chubby's face curled up too. "Sorry, little chap. I suppose it's only to be expected at your age. And you must be feeling pretty dicky, shoved here among strangers. Don't you take notice of an old Chubby. I have my own little rants. Just ask Mrs. Mad, and then I'll get over them. I was upset about my lovely underdown god. Knows how I'm gonna wash it, she said. All the pets, don't be worried. Oh, I see you've laid the table. I will ask Mrs. Mad to come down and have breakfast. Then, after we have breakfast, it was lovely, I said to Chubby, but she didn't notice at all. And then she said, shoo, all of you, go and look around, play around. We have finished dinner. And that's the end of chapter 8. Next time will be chapter 9. Let's see how all of them playing in the garden. Bye!